Esteemed panelists, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. What an exciting topic to talk about. Generally, but especially also now, with the changes that we see, the developments that we see, the turbulence and the exciting movements in the global energy landscape and the important role that our continent, but also our country, can play going forward. I think today we have the privilege of discussing this topic with representatives from different and very important parts of the whole ecosystem. So we will try to talk about the role of Greece as a hub of energy in the broader region. We will try to understand what is the potential for the country, and most importantly, what are the unlocks that are required in order to accomplish that. And we will also try to tackle the point of the role that the financial ecosystem and institutions can play to enable this. And we are very lucky to bring the perspective of a diversified energy group like Copelouzos group, who will also talk about some strategic interconnections that enable our country's role as an energy hub. We have ADMIE, or IPTO, which is the backbone of our energy system and one of the main driving forces behind the electrification that will happen in the country. We will bring the technology perspective from a cutting-edge company like Hitachi with Mr. Papadopoulos, which is a key unlock in order to move forward. And of course, we will bring the perspective of a leading financial institution in the country, but more broadly in the region, with Mr. Petropoulos. So, I would suggest that we pass the word to each of our panelists for a short introductory statement. Then we will follow a more structured Q&A discussion that I will have the pleasure of moderating. And at the end, we will open up to any questions that you have to get more perspective from our panelists. Hope that is a good plan. Please, Mr. Karydas, we can start with you.
Can you hear me? Hello from my side. Thank you for the very kind invitation to participate in this important channel and conference and discussion. And I'm saying important because we know that during the last days, energy has become an even more important parameter of geopolitical handling and structure, while 10, 15 years ago it was just one additional activity of an economy. Now it's the most important activity of the economy on which geopolitical strategy lies upon. And as you said, during the last years, the ever-increasing turbulence in the region highlights important challenges that we need to address, both as a country and, of course, as Europe, Greece being a part of Europe. Such challenges are energy security, energy pricing. We'll hear the complaint that all industries, both on the Greek level and on the European Union level, raise regarding the cost of energy. Also, we had in February the action plan for affordable energy issued by President von der Leyen, which highlights the one very important key issue that Europe needs to find a way to address quickly: prosperity and stability. And we believe that in a nutshell, besides, of course, the importance of green transition, the importance of accelerating the penetration of green projects in the energy mix in Greece and, of course, in Europe. Now the name of the game tends to move towards interconnections. Because interconnections, as I will have the opportunity to explain later on, help us address all such key challenges. And of course, I will base my discussion presentation on the Greki project, which is a project that the Copelouzos group has been developing for a number of years, and now it's on the top list of priorities, and not only of the Egyptian government, but also of the European Union, as I will explain, with key benefits to the market, to the region, to the Greek economy, and all the economies of the regions, and also to the effort of Europe to achieve its energy independence, energy security, and of course, green transition. I will not spend much time discussing the technicalities of Greki, more or less are well known, but I will highlight its importance for us as a country, as energy participants in the energy market, and of course as a society, because such interconnection will also provide very significant social welfare benefits to the region. So I will leave it here, and we'll continue with explaining all such multilateral benefits during the course of the discussion. Thank you.
Exactly. We will have some specific questions on those. Maybe shall we continue with Mr. Chatzipanos for a couple of words from your side as well?
Hi, hello. I'm Michail Chatzipanos. I'm very honored and pleased to be here with you, with this excellent audience and this forum. Greece has transformed and has experienced an unparalleled energy transition from a centralized fossil-based production to a decentralized renewable-based one. At the epicenter of this transition is transmission. I think Ms. Burat thought she was mistaken, but I think it's in the core of transmission. And that's what we do as IPTO. We connect the grid, we connect the renewables that they want to be part of the grid. We strengthen the grid in order to support the stochastic nature of renewables, and also to support the big consumers that are going to come. Data centers or other energy, big energy consumers are connected through our network. So we are IPTO. We are the transmission system operator of Greece, operating more than 14,000 kilometers of lines, overhead, underground, and underwater. We are able to operate the system in a highly renewable penetration mix. We have reached a 57% renewable penetration, that it's equivalent or in par or very close to some Nordic countries. So there are something else that connects us to Sweden. It's the big penetration of renewables. Our vision is to become a leading EU TSO by providing sustainable added value to all the system users and all the stakeholders, friendly from the environment and from the Greek society. A small presentation of what is in the core, what we do, what we're going to do to support this renewable boom that we are all experiencing, and to address the issues that are related to this boom, is presented in this small map of our country. And it can be grouped, and I won't be bothering you a lot with details of each and every project, but it can be grouped into 3 small groups. The one is the interconnection of the islands. Greece is an islandic country with lots of remote islands that are heavily relied upon fossil fuels. So our aim is to make the islanders in par with the mainland in terms of stability, of cost efficiency, and of environmental friendliness. So this will complete with the Crete-Attica interconnection put into operation this year, an emblematic project with one of the 3 deepest cables in the Mediterranean of HVDC technology, state-of-the-art. with the Dodecanese interconnection that is going to be implemented up to the end of this decade, and of the Northeast Aegean interconnection that is also going to be simultaneously constructed. The Cyclades interconnection is being completed by the mid of next year, completing the whole connection of the Cyclades archipelago. There's also other group of projects that is a strengthening of the energy superhighways, that's as we call them, the 400 kV lines from east-west and north to south, a critical part of the strengthening of the internal system in order to support high renewable penetration and, of course, stable and reliable support for all the consumers. And the third one is make our system ready for new international interconnections, creations of new extra high voltage stations and lines that are pivotal in order to enable the further expansion of our country, the connections to countries that we could never conceive in the past. Egypt, with here Elica project is one of the examples, but also we have other projects as the Saudi-Greek interconnection that it's being also promoted by IPTO. The new interconnection with Italy in collaboration with our TSO, the Italian TSO Terna, our partner, and of course our visionary but highly achievable project of the Green Aegean Interconnector with Germany. And last but not least, one project that it's being constructed right now, it's the Great Sea Interconnector, the connection Greece, Cyprus, and Israel. Also, we are planning on new interconnections with Albania, Turkey, and Italy. Italy, I mentioned, sorry, Albania and Turkey, complementing the existing interconnection we have with all our neighboring countries, that is Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Turkey. I won't bother you more. I think we can talk about more details about the challenges we face in this voyage to strengthening our transmission system, and on how the transmission system really is at the epicenter of all what we do, and we need to have more networks in order to support this exciting boom in renewables and this exciting journey that we're all are on in order to go and complete this energy transition. So that's from my part.
Thank you very much for sharing, and we will go back to the nice images that you showed with the interconnections, which, at least to me, resemble a lot a nerve center. And I will ask you specific questions about the priorities going forward. But before we get there, I would like also to hear from Mr. Papadopoulos that brings more the technology perspective. So maybe a few words from you as well.
Thank you very much. First of all, to the Hellenic Swedish Chamber of Commerce and the Embassy of Sweden for inviting Hitachi Energy to this panel. And to answer the first question, what Hitachi, a presumed Japanese company, is doing here. Hitachi Energy is a company that was established 4 years ago after the Hitachi Group acquired the power grid division of ABB. Where all the division were moved and formed a new company that is headquartered in Zurich. It operates across 60 countries and employs more than 50,000 people and have an extended manufacturing base across the globe. And today I'm coming here waving the Swedish flag because in Sweden we have a very strong manufacturing base of high voltage technology. In fact, in Sweden we have the R&D center for this technology, and through this we become very profound and proud of the technologies we provide in the world. The company operates in 5 business areas, and these are grid automation, very important because today you have to monitor and control the networks, either through EMS, energy management systems, or other monitoring devices which are manufactured in Sweden. We have the grid integration where we develop and sell the high voltage DC currents, direct current technology, used in the links, power links, as well as other high voltage substations that are needed in the grid. In Sweden, we also produce high voltage products, and we are proud to have produced more than 500,000 of breakers operating across the world out of our Ludvika factory. Service of all these systems, of course, is core, and transformers, we are the biggest manufacturer in the world, with more than 30 transformer factories, and factories like the one you see, the transformers, which have the size that can accommodate power equal to the power consumed in Greece. This transformer in particular is at 12,000 megawatt, which is the installed capacity of Greece. So all the electricity can pass through that transformer. So you understand what technologically, and this is produced in Ludvika in Sweden. And having said that, I would like to show how we have contributed in the Greek infrastructure quite in the early century. 2001, we commissioned the first interconnection between Greece and Italy with technology coming from Sweden. Terna and IPTO. IPTO owns the one in Arachthos, while the other one is in Galatina in Italy. 500 megawatts. That was 25 years ago, still operating very well. And another technology that comes from Sweden as well is this technology, static VAR compensator, which is the core for supporting the newly established interconnection of the Cyclades island from Lavrion to Syros, and then Mykonos, Paros, Naxos. Without this one, it was not possible to operate without problems. It maintains the voltage in a very high quality. So this supports our tourism, our heavy industry lately. And Mr. Chatzipanos is very happy to have it there. So with that, I finish my introduction, and we'll talk about it later.
Thank you very much. I think it's always very interesting, at least for me, to see in reality how what we put in the schematics looks like. So it's the sheer magnitude of those technologies and infrastructure is impressive. Let's close this round of introductory statements with Mr. Petropoulos, because all of what we're discussing is nice, but at the end of the day, we need some money to do it. So it would be great to also get your perspective.
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for the kind invitation and the opportunity to participate in this, for sure, engaging panel discussion. I will be brief in my opening statement, looking forward to expand during the Q&A. Energy, resilience, security, affordability, they are all very important issues for the economy and the society, and they're all an integral part of the broader sustainability agenda. At Piraeus Bank, we have developed, it's a crucial part of our strategy, sustainability. Only yesterday, our bank, Piraeus Bank, presented the sustainability footprint, which outlines how sustainability is embedded across our services, our products, our operations, our financing activities. Sustainability is actually, sustainability KPIs are a part of our business planning and our lending targets. So, having said that, energy transition as part of this sustainability effort is really a very important challenge. The commitment of our bank is anchored at sustainability strategy is anchored by a firm commitment to achieve net zero by 2050. Sustainability KPIs are part of our processes, And we view the sustainability not as a challenge, but mostly as an opportunity for lending growth going forward. Energy transition is expected to require significant capital for the development of renewable production capacity and the expansion of our energy networks. The banks are expected to play a pivotal role in this effort. In mobilizing capital for these investments, Piraeus Bank, having a long experience in financing green infrastructure, will play for sure a leading role in this process. Over the years, we have financed flagship energy projects as the Amphilohia pump storage facility, the Komotini thermal station, and several gigawatts. Among them, the first solar plant in Greece with a corporate PPA. Our product suite features innovative non-course financing solutions tailor-made to a specific project. With a deep understanding of the sector, we have a diverse clientele of local and international customers. And we have established a leading position in Greece, while at the same time we are expanding our footprint internationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start engaging you more in conversation. I would like to start with the topic of Greece becoming a regional energy hub or strengthening its role as a regional energy hub. I would like to start with you, Mr. Karydas, and you represent a group that is behind significant projects, both in the renewable space, but also in the interconnection space. What I would like you to explain to us is, from your vantage point, what are the main infrastructure priorities for the country that will define Greece's role as an energy hub in the wider region?
Well, as you know, first of all, our group has also conceived the idea and realized the first FSRU project in Greece, which is a gateway for an alternative source of natural gas to Greece and mainly to the Balkan region in order to get independence from the Russian natural gas, which is the problem of Europe today. So the FSRU proved just that, the fact that we can become one gateway for Europe in the natural gas fuel. We do, of course, possess very well, extremely well, good capacity factors for wind and solar. So using the part of the domestic production and exporting it to Europe, we support the export orientation of Greece. And of course, Greece also has another advantage, its proximity to countries like Egypt, which possess the following advantages for us that we can use to achieve the target of becoming an important energy hub in the region. Egypt has an abundance of free land, flat land, which means much lower construction costs, hence much lower LCOE, the weighted leverage cost of energy produced by wind parks and solar parks. And of course, all of this is backed by the extroverted policy of the Egyptian government that wants to become an exporter of green energy to Greece and Europe, and of course, implement a binding connection, an asset that will, an infrastructure that will bind Egypt with Europe. You understand that Egypt is an important ally, not only to Greece. In the region is the only stable country in the Northern Africa region, but also for Europe and the United States. So you understand, to answer your question precisely, of course, besides the FSRU, interconnection can strongly support the role of the target of Greece to become an important energy hub in the region. And being an energy hub, you understand that we have only to gain many benefits. Increase national security, increase the sovereignty of our exclusive economic zones, support Greek economy and Greek GDP. So we have a unique opportunity to take advantage by implementing additional interconnections, the one that is one that our group develops and accelerates its development, so that we can establish a cornerstone for green energy corridors linking south to north, which also is a policy of the European Union. It is a challenge that we have as a country. Gregi has many benefits, and most of them are beyond the borders of Greece, are enjoyed also by European Union. So in that way, Greece will achieve an important role in the region. And you understand this is even more important due to the continued appearance of geopolitical turbulence, which means that we have to find ways to protect our economy, and the most important pillar in an economy is energy. And by protecting energy, we protect our economy. And interconnection like Gregi just supports this target. We achieve protection of energy and avoid the variation of energy prices due to the international fluctuation of prices of natural gas and, of course, the geopolitical turbulence.
I think it's very clear. Thank you for that. So I hear a lot around stability, affordability, security, making the system more resilient and balanced overall. And thank you for articulating those benefits also from the Greek Interconnector. Let me leverage what you just said and ask a question to Mr. Chatzipanos. As I mentioned before, I looked at the graph and it reminded me of a nerve center, which is continuous developing. So maybe that of not of an adult, but of an adolescent. You have an ambitious plan ahead of you. We understand that plans also take time to be implemented. What are your top 3 to 5 priorities going forward linked to the fact of making Greece a regional energy hub?
Thank you for the question. I think that if I will answer the question, but first of all, I think that I have to describe the way we are thinking and what we are trying to do. So we think that everything is connected. So making Greece a regional hub through our eyes requires some specific parameters that have all to be in place. First of all, we need to have a secure and resilient network as it is. You mentioned we have many projects that are going to be developed, but nothing can work in a system that already does not function correctly. So we invest a lot in order to maintain the system in a good condition. We envisage in the following months to fully develop a totally digital solution in order to monitor our system and to become a fully digital TSO. And this also applies to climate change, resilience, and security, including cybersecurity. So all these threats that are simultaneous have to be dealt not with the future project, but also with the existing network. So step 1 is to build upon a really good base. Step 2 is to enforce, enhance, and create a stable base for the whole Greek territory. That is to destroy the barriers that differentiate the mainland with the islands. And that is our pioneering project for connecting all these islands. So it is one of our top priorities to create the country as a unified country where it can unlock its full potential. Either it would be consumers, tourism, renewables, everything. So a totally connected country means a total equal country energy-wise. more environmental friendly, with less fossil fuels, less costly for everyone. Step 3 is to enforce the system in order to be able to accept new flows inward and outward. I mean, make it possible for new international interconnections to import power and export power to other countries. And that is via our projects for backbone, 400 kV network, that are usually overhead lines, because this kind of voltage, it's mainly supported by overhead lines due to technology limitations. There are projects of less budget and less iconic than somebody else, and possibly with less, let's say, consumer appeal or stakeholder appeal. There are these big pylons that run through kilometers of our small country, but believe me, they are equally important for the energy transmission, if not even more, because they connect regions and they connect the north to the south of the country and the west to the west. And step 4, when have complete all this, is to create these new, exciting, visionary interconnections with the other countries. The new interconnection with the northern countries, mainly consumers, so Italy, or the Balkans for a south to north corridor, or of course our visionary project to Germany, or other exciting projects with possibly a mix of consumer and production, that is Cyprus, Israel, Egypt, or Saudi Arabia. So yes, we have many, many projects, and they last for many, many years. But we have to do them all. They are not optional. We cannot have international interconnections if we cannot maintain our internal system. We cannot have international interconnections if we do not have internal backbones. And of course, we cannot exploit our full potential, either that is renewable, storage, or whatever this country has to offer, without creating an equal base for all the inhabitants and all the regions of this country. So, yeah, in summary, I think that's our top 5 priorities.
Thank you very much. Let me move to Mr. Petropoulos. So we are talking a lot about Greece as a regional energy hub. That requires investments, not only locally, but also in the wider region. And to some extent, also, it requires some partnerships. My question to you is, how are banks enabling these investments? How are banks enabling the evolution of Greece in an energy hub?
How banks are enabling the evolution of Greece. Well, Greece is an energy hub, and we Greek banks have been limited to the local market over the years, especially after the crisis, where we were compelled to look only at the local market. But over time now we are internationalizing ourselves, expanding our footprint abroad, either through subsidiaries or through participation in syndicated markets or rep offices. So we are starting now to transfer the expertise we have developed locally through the experience with the green transition in other countries where we see there are similarities and there are opportunities. We have Greek customers, good customers of ours, that are already expanding abroad, and they have a presence internationally as developers or investors. So we have, of course, we were keen to join them in the international projects and establish our presence ourselves. Furthermore, we had many international investors that have been attracted to Greece for its energy potential, and we have been supportive of their Greek ventures. And over time, we have developed cooperation that have facilitated, have enabled us to support them also in their own markets, and at the same time to expand our international footprint. Piraeus Bank, for example, has already presence outside Greece. We have finance projects in Romania, Italy, Spain, even Saudi Arabia, and we are very active in syndicated transactions. So this is how we try to facilitate the international connection, so to say, of the energy market.
Thank you very much. Let me move a bit to the topic of resilience, focusing on the grid and the system overall. And I would like to ask a question to Mr. Papadopoulos. My question is more around the fact that the rapid introduction of renewables in our mix and the increasing production of renewables is putting pressure to the system. From a technology point of view, where do you see the greater needs and why? Is that on the storage? Is that on transmission upgrades? Is that on control systems? Is that something else?
It's a very good question, and the answer is like this. Normally, we say that when we add 1,000 of clean energy, meaning renewables, solar, wind, we need to balance the system with increased grid capacity and flexibility so that we have security, reliability, and resilience. And to do so, we have developed tools which really support the grid in this way. Why? In the past, we had fossil-fueled power plants, lignite-fired, natural gas-fired, and they were concentrated in Kozani, for example. When we decommissioned this power plant, 300 megawatt, in order to have the equal power, we need at least 1,000 of gigawatt of renewables because these are stochastic, intermittent. Therefore, we have to triple the installed base so that we get the equal product. However, these renewables are not in Kozani. One is in Ioannina, the other in Peloponnese, the third is in Thrace. And therefore, we need a way, and this is the digitalization, to monitor what is happening around so that then IPTO can intervene and with tools like STATCOMs, SVCs that we saw, they control the system, and at the same time, in order to increase flexibility, they need the storage, so power that is produced during daylight, but is triple, 3 solar parks, they need to store it so that they consume it at night, where there is no sun. So in this regard, you understand that all 3 are mandatory. Otherwise, you enter in risk of the system, either lack of power, either lack of reserve, or tools to maintain the stability of the system. Otherwise, we'll go like Spain, blackout. And this is what happened there, because they increased massively the penetration of renewables without taking care of what they should have done, also being limited with no or very low interconnection capacity, just France. Therefore, all is needed. And that's why we, as a technology and manufacturer, provide these solutions that the networks become safe, stable, and reliable.
Thank you very much. And I think that's a very good segue to go to Mr. Chatzipanos. And I will not ask you how we will avoid a blackout, but keeping that in mind, you have an ambitious task of developing the network extensively, as you showed us, introducing a larger share of renewables in the mix, and at the same time, ensuring stability and reliability. How do you do that? And also, what are some challenges that you are facing in actually doing that successfully?
Yes. First of all, I would like to again mention that we currently are operating with a high percentage of renewables. We reached 54%. So we managed to keep the system up and running with renewables. And not despite renewables. So we are doing lots towards this, this goal already. Let me summarize the challenge that we're facing regarding renewables in some categories. First of all is how to plan for some voltage and frequency discrepancies that can occur due to the oscillation and the volatility of the renewables. This is mostly handled by technology, such as with technology products like those that Mr. Papadopoulos described. Our planning department thoroughly creates a resilience plan on how we can better survive with the increased penetration of renewables and adds new projects with exciting new technology products that can manipulate the voltage and the frequency. That is STATCOM, SVC, and other choppers, lots of technology that we integrate into crucial parts of the network in order to better be able to cope in extreme volatile times. The second thing we do is the smart grid. So we are trying to have more and more information of what's happening in the grid in real time or near real time in order better to react and adapt to extreme situations. That is something our control center is doing every day with big success. Let's mention that we managed to overcome 2 major heat waves, some losses of critical, let's say, parts of the system, and we managed to keep the system running despite all these challenges. So things are really good, and people are really, really experienced on how to deal with this, supported, of course, by real-time data that help them. And third, there are some services, as you said. We do not have storage for now, but I think that the introduction of storage, we also add a new service to our, let's say, inventory to overcome difficulties that are related to increased renewable penetration. But we have fast response mechanisms from the market that we can use in order to compensate for this, from problems that might be caused by renewables. So yeah, lots of things going on, lots of tools that we utilize, lots of challenges. As Mr. Papadopoulos said, we have gone from a totally deterministic flow of power from the production centers of Kozani and from Ptolemaida to the big urban centers of Athens and the other big cities of Greece, to a decentralized production that it's not only decentralized, but it's also a little bit chaotic, stochastic. It's related to weather conditions, to what will happen with the various climatic conditions. So lots of things to take care in order to keep the system up and running. And last but not least, I would like to mention the effort in the design of the system in order to be resilient. We try to make everything designed in the N-1 or N-2 criterion. For those who are not familiar with the term, that is that if we lose one important part of the system will not feel anything. It will just continue to work normally. This is the N-1. And the N-2 is we lose 2 critical parts of one central hub, that the system will continue to work. This is an extra security measure that might happen in extreme conditions where all the other measures have not been successful and we lose part of the system. We are able to lose either 1 critical or even 2 critical parts with no one being affected. No one even will notice that something happened in the system. So I think that's from me.
Very clear. Let me move to you, Mr. Karydas, and ask you a question. Wearing the hat of the private investor who needs to make investment decisions for generation, renewable, thermal connections, you need to commit capital and take those FIDs. how do the constraints of the transmission system affect your investment timelines? And what could be potential changes that can unlock or accelerate this decision process for investors like yourselves and others, of course?
First of all, may I add one additional measure to the answer to your previous question, to avoid blackouts, interconnections. By establishing interconnections, correct me if I'm wrong, you further reduce, besides all the additional means and measures that were mentioned before, the danger for blackouts. So it's another important benefit in the long list of benefits of a DC interconnection between two countries. Well, obviously, if we see how the Greek market would like to be during the course of this development, because the energy market and the market change very rapidly. So we can see, as we said before, energy being Greece being an energy hub. So obviously, we have to achieve two things. First of all, to have interconnections with other countries. And second, of course, for the Greek TSO to implement those necessary complementary works that have to be done in the grid and strengthen the grid to the points that have to be done, not only in order to support the further penetration of renewables in the country, but also to support the energy that will be transferred to Greece by interconnection from other countries. So, in a nutshell, this have to be done, irrespective of, for example, whether a new interconnection will be done. We need to proceed with enhancement of the grid and update of the grid and digitalization of the grid, because this is a way for Greece to be competitive in the global energy market, because we have the ability to do so. And as I say, despite problems that the project may have, the challenges, technical challenges, financial challenges, and other challenges, if the market needs a project, the project will be realized, will find a way to be realized. And the necessary complementary works at the end of the interconnection of the local grid will be performed, because the market wants a project for the benefit of the market and for the benefit of the participants of the market. For example, let me mention 2 or 3 important parameters for GREGI. One very frequent question that I'm asked when I discuss GREGI by many people is, why do we need GREGI? I mean, we have local production. There's a long list of wind parks and solar waiting the TSO to receive connection terms. Why do we need additional 3,000 megawatts of green energy? Well, if one understands, realizes the very long list of multilateral benefits that such interconnection will bring to Greece and to Europe, I think then the answer will be straightforward. More GREGI projects we need. Green energy at a continuous flow, base load profile. We avoid the problems of stochastic production. Green energy at competitive prices. That only helps the Greek industries to survive, but also gives them a very important export orientation capabilities. Green energy at competitive prices in Greece will act as an incentive for important industrial applications. We hear about data centers with AI, and as you know, the use of AI increases the need for energy exponentially. Why not such data centers to be installed in Greece? By having green energy, continuous flow at competitive prices. Enormous benefits to the consumer and the industry, as I said. We integrate the market, which means increase liquidity in the market, increase system stability, which is another answer to the question about the resilience of the grid. New employment, new jobs. For the construction, we'll need direct and indirect thousands of new jobs, and a large number of new jobs during the operation. Support the Greek GDP and Greek economy. So all of this, you understand, will act as a domino in the economy, creating additional benefits for the society and for Greece. And of course, besides the obvious energy and environmental related benefits, I think the most important benefits overall is the geopolitical dimension of such a project. So I believe that, going back again to answer, to complete the answer to your question, as investors obviously see the viability of the project, the importance of the project for the region, and of course the continuous upgrade of the grids at the two ends in order to support the realization and the absorbance of the energy that will be transferred via Gregi. And I think that is one-way street. We have to do it anyway in Greece, irrespective of Gregi, because that's the way that the whole market globally moves by interconnections, because we have a global market in the energy.
What I take away from you is that if there is a need, there is a way at the end. I want to address a question to Mr. Papadopoulos first that has to do with the point of, Mr. Karydas just said, if there is a need for a project, we will find a way and make that project happen. Having said that, technology sometimes is an obstacle because the maturity is not there, the scale is not there, the willingness to invest is not there. I wanted to get your perspective on the importance of partnerships between technology providers, system operators, or other stakeholders to mature those technologies and to accelerate the implementation of those technologies.
This is the name of the game, partnerships and collaboration. And why is that? We say in Greece, we develop, we are 57% penetration. The other European countries are following, and are following in different pace, but everybody is targeting the same goal, which is what? By 2050, 50% of the energy consumed in our countries will be electricity. Today, you are below 25. So in 20 years, the consumption will double. This has been seen by everybody, and because certain technologies of scarce is not available everywhere, all are dragging to find slots in the supply chain. Because if everybody needs a power transformer of this size, it's not only you who come today. Everybody, and those who plan ahead, they have already in the pipeline projects that have made already production slot booking, because they know that when they will mature the project, they won't find the technology, the production, the product itself. Therefore, we as Hitachi Energy, we have entered into partnerships and collaboration agreements with most of the TSOs of Europe. And they are placing orders for future projects that they are not even, it's only on a map, like IPTO is doing right now. So definitely, without partnership, you cannot plan, because by the time you will ask for something, they will say, sorry, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, lead time, production lead time. So yes, partnership is a must.
Thank you very much for that. And I think before I open to questions with our audience, one last question to Mr. Petropoulos. We discussed a lot about the opportunity for Greece to become an energy hub, and that means investments in infrastructure, in green energy generation. My question to you is, as a bank, how do you balance financing of such investments and also managing risk?
Well, in order to answer this, we'll use, first of all, some figures to understand the magnitude of investments required. Taking some numbers from the National Energy and Climate Plan, the investments, capital investments on the supply side of the energy market over the period of 25 to 30 are 31 billion. And on the period from 2030 to 2050, it's another 98 billion. That's on average 5 billion per annum for the next 25 years. That's a huge amount of investments required. The Greek banks certainly have the appetite, and they have the willingness and the capacity to handle them. But for sure, we have to be aware that the complexity of this task is increasing going forward. What I mean by that, in the first phase of financings, we had structured projects, renewable projects on the basis of long-term contracts with PPA agreements with the state, or with the price protection mechanisms such as the feed-in tariffs, feed-in premiums. We have been quite successful as banks for this model. Eventually, the renewable energy became, the levelized cost of renewable energy reduced and the projects became more competitive, so there was no need for state protection mechanisms. And the state decided to abolish this previous model. Consequently, the new generation of projects were based on long-term contracts with private counterparties, the so-called PPAs, which have also an element of merchant risk. These are projects more complicated in the sense that on top of the stochastic nature of revenues, we have also the complexity of the PPA agreements, the credit risk of the counterparties. So they're more difficult projects. But the third generation, the one that's coming now, are even more difficult projects. So these will be projects that will have new technologies introduced, and they will have also a higher portion of merchant risk. So there the complexity, of course, is much higher and requires extensive due diligence and sophisticated structuring on behalf of the banks in order to understand the risk to finance a project and promote, so to say, the financing of the green transition. So it's going to be really a very challenging task going forward, especially after 2030, when the real challenges arises with the green transition.
Thank you. So I take away an aligned view that Greece has the potential to become a regional energy hub. I take away your confidence that with partnerships and, individually, we have the tools to make that happen and we have a plan. However, there are still some unlocks that need to be put in place, particularly when we look from 2030 onwards, when the level of uncertainty is a bit higher. That will be required in order to have a successful implementation. So thank you for the discussion. Let me see if there's any question from the group before we close. Please.
I came in front in order to save time, actually. Dimitris Poulos from Alpha Laval. We have exhausted about interconnections, about production, difficulties, tools, but really about storage. We see not so big investments. The regulatory framework still is under, let's say, continuous discussion. It's very well known that some Sundays Greece was a study in Europe that we were producing more than we can even consume and export, actually. Why you think the storage investment facilities, regulations, are not in so strong focus? Because, for example, why not in Sundays not to be automatically free of charge electricity in order the consumption to increase? Or why not to have subsidized buffers in every house with a battery? Because even an electrical car can be a buffer, and we can charge it when we have surplus. So the question is to Mr. Karydas and Chatzipanos, why on storage we don't give so much focus? Because to have the ideal buffer actually is solving the majority of these issues.
Well, the obvious criteria that an investor will have to look, and if they are satisfied, he will proceed investing, is concrete regulatory framework and persuasive financial returns according to the operation of the market and to such regulatory criteria. And this compared with the still not, let's say, maturity that we wish to see from the batteries themselves, I think this, let's say, lack of certainty of the return that an investor will have, that's why many investors still are not, still are reluctant to invest in storage. But as you very well said, storage is one of the key issues that we need eventually to implement in order to stabilize the network, support the further penetration of renewables and all the benefits that an energy storage does. But I think these are the fundamental criteria that still are not 100% clear to an investor.
To my perspective, I think first of all, we are on the same page. As I said, storage is one important tool. We want a tool. We tried to implement our own storage solution, but it got stuck to the regulatory authority in the past, so it's well known. But nevertheless, what I have to mention is that there is really big interest. This is what we know from IPTO. In order for connection terms, there is a big pipeline for storage. And I think, based on what Mr. Karydas said, because I cannot be on the minds of the investors, that they're just waiting for the framework to settle down. It is complex because it requires fees and remuneration packages, and it's political decisions that are quite complex, so they take time to mature. But I think that these investors are in line, they're waiting, and when all the frameworks have settled down, we will see a big boom. And we think that it will be almost the same magnitude as it was with renewables some years ago, and it would be a big success. That's what I am expecting personally. So I think with a little patience, we will see all the storage being evolved in Greece as well.
Thank you. I got the sign that our time is up. So
only one question, if possible. Okay. So, Somaia El-Marakshi from Ericsson. First of all, thank you very much for the inspiring insights and all. And I have a comment and then a question. Well, first of all, I'm based in Madrid. Okay, so I remember the date, 28th of April, the blackout, and really the devastating impact that it has on all, on the economy, social, everything, okay? So then yesterday I was at the EUTC, so the European Utilities Telecom Council, okay, and we were debating exactly this, you know, how can we put this more resilient and avoid this blackout? You have talked about, okay, interconnection, definitely. You were talking about the smart grid. You were talking about, you know, monitoring this. And all this needs connectivity. Without connectivity, we cannot, succeed in all what you are saying, because that's definitely something very important, but you need the enabler, that is the connectivity. And today, we are, at least what we were arguing yesterday from, representatives from DSOs, TSOs, from different people and board of this UTC, is that the telco part in the utilities is not, convincing the top management that is really the enabler for all the rest. I would like to have your view on this. Well, actually, the question is to all, but because, interconnectivity means that whatever you were saying, means that smart grid needs connectivity, and connectivity, when you are in urban, you have the connectivity. When you are in the rural, very rural, and we know that utilities is everywhere, you need connectivity. Yes. So just to get your view on that.
Let me start. First of all, I totally agree with you. Connectivity is crucial. I'm not sure what happens, but here at IPTO and the top management and our CEO totally supports connectivity, totally supports the telco part of our company. We have a dedicated subsidiary called Greek Telecom that it's 100% dedicated to telecommunications. We have a huge program that installs fiber optics throughout the country. miles and miles, kilometers of fiber optics, and as a part of the digitalization program that I referred to, it's also the telecommunication part as well. It is integrated into one, including the cybersecurity, the security in general, and how everything will be connected in a world that can be affected by a serious event like the one you faced in the Iberic Peninsula. And just to mention and close, that this event changed a little bit, changed everything, changed how we see the world from now on. So it might be suffered in the Iberic Peninsula, but I think it created a massive strike to everybody else in order to plan for more resilient and safe networks from now on.
Any other perspectives? Maybe Mr. Papadopoulos, and then we can wrap it up.
I would also like to add on the matter of connectivity that it has been seen that in North Europe, especially in the areas surrounding the Baltic Sea and North Sea, that the investors are coming together and are developing common grids, not just connecting point to point, but utilizing multi-terminal technology on HVDC to form DC grids, which will enable the transfer of power from the neighboring countries with less cost. And this is something that is being pursued. Already there are some existing infrastructure with 3 or 4 DC terminals, and through the cables there are also fiber optics which communicate, so everyone knows on a millisecond basis what is happening and what measures they should take to increase reliability and resilience of their own network. So yes, technology is moving also to that, intensify connectivity at the least cost possible. Because we can do everything, but if it is gold-plated, nobody will buy it.
It's a very small, investment compared to the impact that could have.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
Thank you very much to all the panelists and to you for the questions. Thank you.